I can imagine that you are just like brain dead by this point because we've gone through like 30, 45 minutes of prep work just to get to the interesting part. I know, I hate doing these really long, complex demos, but this is really good stuff. I mean, this is going to be something that if you plug and play this into your SSIS packages and you can make stuff like this fly, you're really going to impress a lot of people, I think. So, without further ado, let's go back to step four. Um, I want you to notice something that I closed out the script task. We can run our package. It runs fine. Our script task wasn't doing anything except for loading up the DLL, the Excel interrupt DLL. And it runs fine. But watch when I go back into it. Wait a minute. Why do you have a little yellow squiggly here? It says it can't be found? Oh, what do you mean it can't be found? That makes no sense. Okay, I don't know if your machine's going to do this. My machine is going nuts. My machine is forgetting about the referenced DLLs and the referenced assemblies. And every time, whether it be VB or C sharp, every time I reopen a script task, it forgets all the assemblies. Now the fix for this would be to actually open the code of the DTSX file and make some changes. I don't want to do that. It's just easier for me every time I open a script task to re-add the reference in here. But it is a pain. Once I add the reference in, I get my error message again and it goes away and I can use this again. That's just I sorry, I don't know. It is a bit strange. I will I will say. There's one other thing that I want to bring in here. What you want to do here is you want to bring in your interop services. I'll show you why later. So these two lines of code here are what we want to bring in. And don't worry, you do not have to type everything that I'm putting in here. At the end of this video, you can just get the code. And so you can load this up and do this on your own. Okay, so I don't need all of you. Thank you. And you can go away. Now I'm going to do a basic version of this. In the real world, I'd make it a little more robust with try catch and checking for nulls. But in the interest of simply trying to help you not have to spend 4 hours of your life learning how to do one little bitty task. I'm going to just go ahead and get the things going that we need. And I'm probably talking about it too much now. Okay, so first thing that we have to do is we have to create an instance. We have to open our Excel spreadsheet here. So let's get ourselves an Excel workbook. Now, one of the problems I'm also having is even though I've brought it in here, I'm getting problems within here. So I should just be able to say excel.workbook, but let's see, I may actually have to fully do it. Okay. Um, so it's a little bit silly. Actually, I'm going to say, let's actually do this. Okay, so we want to make a new application. So we are creating an application, move you out of the way, that we are going to reference Excel from. And from that, we need to now open it. Okay, so we need to open a workbook. So let's just make ourselves a workbook, and that's going to be again, and so a workbook. And that workbook is going to be, and we're going to open, oops, sorry, workbooks dot open. And what is the file name that you want to open? Well, I could pass in a hard-coded file name, or we can reference our variable. Remember, we have our variable file name, was it? Gosh, and I can't remember it now. And let's go double check before I leave here. It's called Excel file. Good thing. And it could be that it's already forgotten. No, it had not forgotten. Okay, so we have now opened, we've defined WB to be the variable that opens our workbook, and the workbook is going to be our variable. Okay. Now, we need to now define our worksheet. So let's just get our worksheet. And in the real world, I would probably, well, I'll just leave. Let me keep talking. And let me just break this one down for you here. So what we're doing, we're creating a new instance of a worksheet. And so a workbook contains multiple worksheets. So looking at our Excel spreadsheet, this is the workbook. And these are the individual worksheets down here. So what we're doing is we're telling it up here, open this workbook and then use the first worksheet. And so we're making a reference. WS is now the first worksheet in that Excel spreadsheet. The first thing I like to do is do an AutoFit of all columns. Okay, so make them bigger, right? So that we don't have any problems with that. So now we just are going to take every cell and we need to get the entire row and use the AutoFit method. And so that's just going to widen them. Okay. Now, if we want to make the top row look pretty, we need to define a range. And this is a range. So a range is a selection in Excel programming. And the range we want is A1. And I know maybe that's not normal to think of, but look up here. A1 is the first column, first row. Okay? That guy right there, that's what we want. Back that down. And so that's my new range. And now for that range, we'll just say, for the whole row of that range, we want to make, do we want it to be bold? Yes. Doing my C#, true. Do we want the font size to be big? Yeah, let's make it 13. What's your alignment on that? Let's see if I can do this here. So this is just one of those things you kind of have to get some code samples and figure out. I can't tell you all the breakdown of it. I just know that if I choose this one, sorry, that this is the right one. So I wanted it aligned on the center. Okay, so really just get your code sample here. This is your vertical align. You want it vertically aligned on the center here. The trickiest one is the colorization, because now we want the interior color index equals 49, and that's going to be a dark blue. And so let's make the font color index equal to 2, which is white. This is, knowing what these color indexes are, you've got to dig into the Excel documentation. It's nothing to do with SSIS. Okay, so now what's your height of these? So I don't know, set it to be, oops, my range. Didn't I name it my range? Oh, I named it the range. And so I'm setting the row height to be 30, and that's just going to make make it a taller row for the range. And then I need to just set that to null. So set it to nothing. Sorry, doing my C# there. Okay, so here's an important thing. Excel will hang unless you do this. Okay, I'm going to show a lot of these Excel will break if you don't do this here in this next section. Okay, so now that we've done this, we can go ahead and auto fit again. Auto fit top row, because you've changed it, right? You've changed the font sizes, you've changed the row height. So now you can just, now we'll do the column here. Show you how to do that. And we'll auto fit that. Let's see, freeze the top row. I like to do that in my Excel spreadsheets here. So you have to activate, okay, and then you choose the next cell range. So now you get your range. So remember we had the range of A1 up here. Now we get the row below that, and we select that row, and then you just simply freeze your panes using the active window. So active window says, what's the selection? On the selection, here's what I want to do. I want to freeze those panes. I know that's kind of strange. You're selecting the second row and you're freezing everything above it. Okay, and finally, now you have to destroy everything in the proper order. Or else Excel.exe will hang. Okay. So first thing we need to do is bring in the garbage collector, and I'm going to collect everything. And before, let me just put out a bunch of code here. And so our Marshall, by the way, this is for .NET 2.0 only and up. So you can use it in 3.0 and 3.5. But this is going to really help us release that COM object. I will say, did I call it WS? Sorry. I have seen a lot of code samples on the internet that will try to show you how to use Excel programming in the interops in SSIS, and they do this different ways, and I have had spotty luck with other techniques other than the one that I'm showing you. So destroy in LIFO, last in, first out. So we created the worksheet last, so we need to destroy that and set it to nothing. Okay, so now we created the workbook next, so now we need to destroy it, but we have to close it first. And it's got a weird save changes thing here. I had never seen this syntax, but we need to tell it to save changes to true. And now we can actually call the marshal to shoot him dead. Sorry. But what the marshal is going to do here is no matter what, if Excel is hanging, it's going to close it and it's going to kill that process. And this can actually corrupt your Excel file if you're not careful. And then you just need to destroy that completely. And the very first thing you created, which is in turn the last thing that you need to get out of, is the Excel application. So you have to quit your Excel application, and then the exact same thing, you need to use the marshal to destroy. So Excel, and then same thing, my Excel equal nothing. And you know, if you've done everything right, which I know this is a lot of code, then it will work. So here's what it looks like. And we want it to be auto fit, the top row to be big, the colors to be right. Well, let's see. Did we do it the right way, or did Scott goof up? In the sake of brevity, I hope I did it the right way. Okay, now we get green. Now that green doesn't always mean good here. What you need to go check is the task manager, and you need to look, do you see Excel in the list? If you see Excel, you've missed something. If Excel is still open after running your script task, you've messed up, because it should be shut. We went through all of we went through the Marshall, we went through it closing everything. So there should be no Excel open. And let's see how our colorization worked out. It's pretty cool, huh? So you see, if we widen these, looks like our vertical alignment work. You see it's in the middle. I needed to change, the next thing I would really do would probably be to change these to be in the middle. Now we can change, notice that we have this particular customer ID. So now we can come back in, we can go to our variables. We allow the user to change the customer ID to be whatever they need to. I don't know if number 30,000 has any orders or not. Let's just see. Let's see. Maybe they don't. I have no. Yeah, they did have a couple, but pretty cool. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was long. I know this is some boring stuff. Good stuff to know, though.